Now, I did something a little different for the stock of the day. I thought we'd have, a bit of a Friday after what has been a crazy week, particularly for small cap investors. So, with these wild card markets, I've asked our experts to share a you got to know when to fold them type sell. Hold them or fold them. And this one we're going to get a fold. So I'll start with you, Claude Walker from A Rich Life. What is a clear sell in this environment to you?
Well, I have no position in this one, but just as a matter of an intellectual in exercise, I thought I'd go with Webjet as my sell. Essentially, we all know what Webjet is. It's this sort of the travel booking website, very much Internet 1.0. Now, if I take you back to before the pandemic, there were a few things that were concerning for Webjet. For example, Google increasingly encroaching in search, which, at the time didn't matter too much for Webjet because they had a strong brand habit of people just going straight to the Webjet website. So they had a good brand there. And essentially they were saying it's fine, but that still was a negative for them, right? And fast forward to here we are today. Yes, the share price is about half what it was prior to the pandemic, but for quite some time now, including as we're speaking right now, the market capitalization is basically the same as what it was before the pandemic. So the company itself, according to the market, is worth the same now in 2022 as it was, way back before the pandemic, when we as Australians were this massive country of travelers. Everybody from the student to the family wants to get overseas and go to Japan or Europe or whatever as often as they can. And on top of that, it's very normal to have almost needless trips to Melbourne or Sydney. I used to fly down to Melbourne just to see friends and catch up and go to an AGM in person, right? That was what I would, often do. But the pandemic has changed those things. Like, I'm not going to get into a plane now to go down to go to an AGM and just for a day, which is something that I used to do. And the reason is because, there are so many reasons for it. But first of all, it's far more common for things to be actually online now, and you can Zoom into the AGM. So that is a massive positive there. But on top of that, I went to my friend's wedding 2 weeks ago now and got COVID, and now I've spent the last 2 weeks coughing up my lung. Yeah, okay, sure, I took that for my friend's wedding, but I'm not going to risk that just to get on a plane to go to an AGM. And I know so many friends who've gotten it from a plane, and it takes a week or two out of your life. It's not worth it. So people will minimize some of that unnecessary travel. They'll do the travel they need to do, but there will be still a bit less travel. So I don't see how, any way you look at it, especially with fuel prices at the moment going up and all of that sort of stuff as well, which puts up the price of plane tickets. I don't see how this company is going to be worth what it was prior to the pandemic. The world has changed. I think that ultimately it was a step down for these kind of companies. And also they've lost some of that brand value because we've had 2 years where we've gotten out of the habit of always going to webjet.com.au.
Got it. Thanks, Claude. Look, I'm still keen to travel, I will say, but I've never used Webjet myself. So that's my 2 cents. Just a very quick agree or disagree, Andrew, and then I'd like to get your sell on this day.
Geez, I haven't looked at it closely for a while, but I think Claude is right that the world has changed. It's. I know you wanted an agree or disagree, so I'll go with an agree.
Got it.
Thanks,
you.
mate.
And what would you be selling now, Andrew?
I couldn't resist my favorite whipping boy, Nadine. I'm going to go with AMP, the turnaround that's forever trying to turn around. The business that has just collapsed over the last 10 years, the one that sort of holds this mantle of blue chip company, which, dividends, they don't pay them anymore, but, they were 23 cents 10 years ago. Earnings are just going down and down and down. And, I think what this is a really good lesson in is, turnaround's not turning, but also when you've got a people business, and AMP is a people business, and the culture there just seems pretty wrecked. And how do you, that's hard. That's not a question of fixing some machinery or, making some investments in warehousing. This is fixing a culture, a deeply embedded culture, and it is very, very, very hard to do. So I think I talk to some investors and they sort of go, oh, I've lost so much now, I might as well just hang on. I just think that is entirely the wrong thing. One, there's opportunity cost because you could press a couple buttons, realize a lovely loss that you can offset against some other gains elsewhere, and put it onto a different business, one that's got some decent potential. Get the hell out.
There you go. And just a right of reply from you, of course, Claude. Agree or disagree?
I definitely agree with this one. Yeah, it's basically about connecting investors who trust the brand with, professionals who would want to go and work there. And they've damaged themselves on both sides of things. Like, people don't trust the brand as much and people don't want to work there as much.